So today we're going to be talking about the circular flow model, which is not like a graph, but it is a picture. And it represents how certain things flow through the economy, how money, how goods and services, and how resources, the factors of production, how they flow through the economy. So on your paper, as we're taking notes, make sure that you leave some space, for these different actors in this model. So we have this house that represents households. This is supposed to represent the government, and this tall building over here represents businesses. So this house represents all households, the business represents all businesses. It's a very simple picture at a very complex system. So the first step in the circular flow model, or the first uh, way that businesses and households interact, is through the product market. The product market is how most of us interact with businesses. We, as households, will send money. See this arrow house going from the household to the business. We send them money, which becomes their income, the business income, for in exchange for goods and services. So, we go buy a hamburger, we give them money, they give us a hamburger. And this is the product market because that's what you're buying. You're buying products. And in this market, households are the buyer. We buy goods and services, and the firms are the seller. And so that is how most of us interact with businesses is we buy stuff from them. And that's what the product market represents. The other way that we interact with businesses as households is by selling resources to them. Most of us are going to work for a business, and we will sell essentially our labor to these businesses in exchange for our own household income. So if you see that there's an arrow coming from the business going to the house, that represents our personal income that we get from working. What do we give the businesses? Well, we give them the FOPs, the factors of production. Land, labor, capital, human capital, entrepreneurship are the resources that households in a capitalist economy, households are the owners of resources, not like the government or anything like that. And so, since we own the resources, we can sell them. And so, this is called the factor slash resource market. You can call it the factor market, or you can call it the resource market. I like to combine them, so everyone has the word that they like. So, factor resource market is when us, the households, this time are the sellers. We sell our resources, land, labor, capital, whatever, to businesses, and the businesses buy them. So essentially, we kind of switch places this time of who's the buyer and who's the seller. And so this right here, this whole circle, money, it's the same money. The money that you spend in businesses, the business takes that money and sends it back to households as they pay for their employees. So the money that you spend actually will go to a business and then will turn into someone else's income, whoever works at that business. Same thing. Like you maybe get money from your job and you take that money and then you buy something in the product market, and that just keeps the whole cycle going. So this dollar sign up here, this money business income is essentially GDP. If you add up everyone's spending, this is all of our spending, consumer spending, investment spending, government spending. All of our spending is this arrow up here. But if you add up all of our incomes down here, where this money is, that's GDP another way. And so, that's why you can measure all of our income that we get or all of our spending, and you're going to get GDP. You see that we've kind of neglected the government here. Well, that's because most questions are not going to be about our relationship with the government or the government's relationship with us. Most questions that you'll see about the circular flow model is just these two outside transactions. The product market up top, the factor resource market on the bottom. But if you want to see how the government comes into play, both households and businesses send money to the government in exchange for different things. Households get public services and public goods like infrastructure or natural defense. They get things like NASA or public parks, education. While businesses, while they do benefit from that, they sometimes will get a business subsidy. So this would be the opposite of a tax. This would be the government is just sending money to businesses. So, for example, a heavily subsidized organization is Hollywood movies. Um, the government will send like Hollywood and different producers money just for certain scenes in a movie. So if you've ever seen a movie where like the US military was represented and it was represented in a positive light, like they look really strong or they're, marching in slow motion and there's like music and there's like an eagle in the background. So that scene was paid for by the US government. U.S. government will send money to certain producers and directors for and they're helping subsidize their film in a way that looks good for the United States. But not all businesses are subsidized. Like the American farmer is heavily subsidized because what it takes a full year and countless dollars to grow like an apple, and then they sell an apple for what, $1 maybe an apple. That's very little profit. The U.S. farmer would quickly go under and not make any profit if without being heavily subsidized by the government. And so to prevent us from having to import all of our food, the US government will send money to American farmers just so that they can make a profit. So, there are certain things called leakages and injections. So, a leakage is any money that leaves the circular flow model or maybe doesn't continue its path. Like this is money is supposed to flow back and forth in a circle in this loop that never ends. But savings is a leakage. It's money that you make, but it stays in the household and doesn't continue flowing as part of your spending. And so it's money that you make, but you don't actually you don't spend it. And so savings is going to be a leakage. If you're buying products from a different country, so it's money that you're making, but you're sending to an outside circular flow model in a different country. That's going to be a leakage. It's money leaving our economy and going into another economy. And notice how it says taxes here. So, like I said, most questions that you have are going to be just covering this outside circle and does not include the government. And you know that because they'll call it the simple circular flow model. This right here in front of you is the complex circular flow model. If it includes the government, it's complex. Without the government, it's the simple circular flow model. So if you see any questions that are just talking about the simple circular flow model, then we can say taxes is a leakage because it's money that you make that you don't get to spend. It gets taken out of your paycheck before you can spend it. So that's money that's leaked out of the economy. Well, injections are just the opposite of a leakage. It's money being put into the economy from some sort of outside source. So and these leakages mirror these injections. So I'm going to start from the bottom up. So taxes, yes, is a leakage, but it gets maybe injected back in as a business subsidy, or maybe like public works or healthcare, you know, what's it called? Like welfare, transfer payments, things like that. You might import a car and send money to a different country, but if we export a car, then that's money coming in from a different country, and so that's an injection. So we send a car out or something and we get money for that car. Well, that money came from a different circular flow model. It came from a different country, so that's money entering from some outside source. And a savings, money that you earn that you are not spending, that's a leakage. But notice how nowhere in this model represents banking. That's how simple this simple circular flow model is that the entire banking industry is not even shown in this picture. So when you save money, hopefully you're saving money in a bank. Well, think about what a bank is going to do with it. Banks then loan out that money, your savings, they loan out to businesses. And so that is how your savings, which if you save your money in a bank, that leakage can then turn into an injection because it's injected back into the economy by banking through loans, through like business loans. So businesses can go buy capital, like pizza ovens, so they can make more pizza. And so if you're saving money in like a piggy bank, well, then that leakage only stays as a leakage. It doesn't get to be injected back in, which is why the banking industry is so important and kind of makes a circular flow model work, because it can take those leakages and turn it into a business loan, and therefore inject it back in the economy. So that's the circular flow model, just how money, goods and services and products flow through the economy. How they sometimes money gets leaked out, but it can be injected back in. And in a perfect world, obviously, they would match. And that is the circular flow model. Bye, guys. Have a good day.